All right, so at this point, you've probably learned a little bit about the background of how this style works, this whole flip a choice model works. The whole point of this video is to tell you why I do it. What's the point? What makes it so much better than just standing in front of the class and teaching like, it's been done in the past. So there's a lot of benefits, and hopefully you're going to see some are really big, some are minor, but ultimately it's going to benefit you as a learner, I promise you. And here is how it's going to benefit you. The first and probably most important thing is that the pace is now yours. Okay, whatever pace you want to go at, you can learn at. There is no more going at the teacher's pace, and the teacher has to try to be exactly perfect without going too fast, too slow. You get to go whatever pace you want. So, if this is you in the class, okay, if you're this guy who sometimes you're sitting there in some lessons and you feel like the teacher's going too fast and you just don't know what's going on and you just want to kind of shut down a little bit, this model is perfect for you. Because now, instead of just giving up or feeling like you have to catch up or having to stop the teacher or ask your friend, you can just pause the movie, okay? Like in the middle of a class, you can't pause your teacher and just make him stop as you write down notes. You can pause the movie whenever you want, the video, or you can rewind if you were zoning out for a little bit, okay? Or just feel like you want to hear it again. You can pause, rewind. On the YouTube videos, there's a feature too where you can just literally slow it down. So at least for me personally, as you can probably tell, I talk pretty fast. So you have an option where you can literally slow down the voice of the person. So you can really slow it down, go at your own pace, and it doesn't matter what everyone else in the class is doing. You can learn exactly the pace that you want to learn at. And what's really good then is that if you do ever get confused and you've ever been a person in class who you think a lot of other people in the class might know the answer, so maybe you're embarrassed to ask a question or you don't want to ask it, now you can, and no one else really knows what you're asking. It's completely individual attention and individual questions. So you can just kind of raise your hand, I'll come over to you, or whatever teacher is doing this style will come over to you and just answer your questions individually, as opposed to worrying about kind of like slowing down the class, or like you ever feel like, I don't know, you don't want to ask a question in front of everybody. Now you can do it for yourself. What's really great, at least with the style that I do, is I do almost all my flip lessons in class. So it lets you go at your own pace or whatever, and then if you still need more time at home, go home and finish at home. And then by the time you come in the next day, you and everybody else at exactly the same starting point, because you've had as much time as you need. So maybe some lessons take you 30 minutes, someone else maybe takes 5 minutes because they knew the material. Either way, when you come in the next day, everyone's at exactly the same spot. So it really benefits you for the rewatching, rewinding, and so on and so forth. Now on the flip side, if you're ever someone in class who maybe the teacher is teaching something and you're bored because you know the material already, you heard this already, the teacher just keeps on repeating themselves over and over and you're like, oh my goodness, please just get to the point, or let's do something else. This style is great for you because what happens now is you can go at your pace too, and that means you can fast forward through stuff, you can speed through stuff, skip over things you already know. There's no more, hopefully, wasting time listening to things you already know. I know me personally as a student I hated that in a class when I'm sitting there and the teacher is saying the same thing and they say this and that, and I'm sitting there, I was like, I know this, I learned this, why are we repeating this, why are we stopping the class to answer this question, I know this. Now that doesn't exist anymore, okay? Like you just go whatever pace you want. You can speed through something if you feel like you already know it already, which is hopefully wonderful for you, because then what happens then is you can go into deeper stuff, things you want to know. So you can speed through the stuff like, yep, I know this, great, I fast forward, I'm done with my lesson. And then now you can go and learn things you want to learn or do the activities you want to do as opposed to ever sitting there being bored. This is something I do too, is that I don't require you to write down things you already know. Okay, like I put a list of questions and I say, you make sure when you walk in tomorrow you know this. If you know it already, I don't require you to write down those notes because, again, me personally as a student, I hated that when I'm sitting there. I was like, the teacher's making me write down this definition and I've learned this in second grade, like why am I doing this again? You write down whatever you want to. As long as you come in the next day with the knowledge you need, that's all good. And I think that you're going to really like this if you're this style of teacher who feels that, or this style of student who feels like you're just kind of bored sometimes because you know what's going on. Okay? The other advantage too is that the lessons are always available. Whereas normally in a class, if you miss something, the teacher, if you're absent per se, you need to have the teacher work with you at lunch or a separate time to get the lesson or ask a friend. Now the lessons are everywhere, okay? You can get the lesson whenever you're absent or you miss class. Or if you ever are studying for an exam and you just want to rewatch the lesson, You can rewatch it. You can relearn the material, rewind, and just watch certain sections of the lesson that you want to know. So the lesson is kind of always there for you. And you're going to find that, to me, I don't know how you're going to feel about this as a student, but parents, tutors really like this because now they know exactly what's happening in class. They know exactly what you need to learn so they can help you. And I know sometimes people don't want to necessarily tell their parents what they're learning, and the parents will ask them, hey, what'd you learn in school? And you're like, nothing, or you don't give them the answer. Like, now they know exactly what you're learning so they can work with you and help you through it as opposed to trying to figure out what was actually happening in class. So, and another advantage is that it's available in any device. So I've had a lot of students who say on the way to soccer practice, they're just going to rewatch the video, or they're waiting in a waiting room somewhere and they can watch it. So it's really, really accessible as far as the lessons. So if you are someone who's really busy with the schedule, it helps out with that too because the lessons are always available for you. And for me, I told you in the previous video, if you watched it, that besides the flip video, I always give you a lot of different options as well. So the video is the main thing that people usually use, but I always give you other choices. So I think this is super important that you learn however you want to learn. If you want to watch the video, if you want to read from it, if you want to explore doing hands-on stuff, I think that's so important because we all learn so different. And as long as we all get to that finish line at the same time, I don't care how you get there, whatever way works best for you. So I think that you're going to see that having a lot of options is really beneficial for your learning style. And then in class, like I said, I flip my lessons in class, which basically makes sure that there's two of me in every class. So there's this guy, okay, which is kind of what you're watching right now, the guy who's giving you the material, okay? They're giving you the content and the material and things you need to know. But then there's the real life me who's going to be walking around the class as well, who's going to be there to essentially clarify you or clarify anything that you need to, you can't figure out or you need some help with, or give you deeper questions. So really what's happening now is instead of the normal way where there's just one teacher in the class who has to try to give the information and also try to ask thought-provoking questions and clarify at once, there's just the guy who on the video gives the information, and then there's the real life guy who can walk around and help people. And you're going to see that so much better because you can ask questions like I talked about previously to me. We can have real conversations. You don't ever have to be embarrassed about asking questions anymore, and we can have real one-on-one conversations. So maybe you want to know something a little bit deeper in the content, but you're thinking no one else in the class cares about this. But like now you can ask those questions because we can just have that conversation, you and I, and we can talk about whatever topic we're getting into and really get into it. So it really kind of doubles me in class. So you end up getting a lot more of my attention if you need it. So I think you're going to see a lot of benefits from that as well. And this to me is the final thought. And I thought this little Simpson cartoon summed it up. You're going to leave this classroom of mine learning how to learn. Okay, like you are going to learn how your learning style is. You're going to learn what your pace is. So when you walk out of here for future life, whether it be jobs or college or high school or wherever you're going, you're going to know how you learn, and you're going to be a much better learner because you've learned how to think and how to learn on your own and solve your problems and learn the way you want to learn, which is a huge life skill. So it's going to help you in the future for sure. So I really, really think you're going to enjoy this model. You're going to get a whole lot out of it for sure. And I'm sure there's other benefits I haven't thought of, but these are the main ones that kind of come up every single time I do this style. So hopefully you'll be engulfed in it and really learn a whole lot from this model. Thanks for watching this video.